Bhagavad Gita as it is. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedant Swami Prabhupada. Bhagavad Gita as it is. Bhagavad Gita as it is, completed edition. With original Sanskrit text, Roman transliteration, English equivalent, translation and elaborate purport. His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedant Swami Prabhupada, founder and Acharya of the International Society for the Krishna Consciousness. Collier Books, New York, Collier Mcmillian, Publisher, London. Copyright 1972 by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedant Swami Prabhupada. Readers interested in the subject matter of this book are invited by the International Society for Krishna Consciousness to correspond with its secretary. International Society for Krishna Consciousness, 3764 Wetsekai Avenue, Los Angeles, California 90034. Library of Congress Catalog Card Number 7279319. All rights reserved. No part of these books may be reproduced or transmitted in any form or by any means, electronic or mechanical, including photocopying, recording, or by any information shortage and retrieval system without permission from the publisher. First Collier Books, edition 1972. First printing 1973. Bhagavad Gita as it is also published in a hardcover edition by the Mcmillian Company, Mcmillian Publish Corporation, Inc. Collier, Mcmillian Canada Limited, printed in United States of America. To Srila Baladeva Vidya Bhushana, who presented so nicely the Govinda Bhashya, commentary on Vedanta philosophy. Table of content. Forward, Preface, Introduction, Chapter 1, Observing Armies on the Battlefield of Kurukshetra. Chapter 2, Content of the Gita summarized. Chapter 3, Karma Yoga. Chapter 4, Transcendental Knowledge. Chapter 5, Karma Yoga Action, Krishna Consciousness. Chapter 6, Sankhya Yoga. Chapter 7, Knowledge of Absolute. Chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. Chapter 9, The Most Confidential Knowledge. Chapter 10, The Opulence of the Absolute. Chapter 11, The Universal Form. Chapter 12, Devotional Service. Chapter 13, Nature, the Enjoy and Consciousness. Chapter 14, The Three Modes of Material Nature. Chapter 15, The Yoga of the Supreme Person. Chapter 16, The Divine and Demonic Nature. Chapter 17, Division of Faith. Chapter 18, Conclusion, The Perfection of Renunciation. Forward. The Bhagavad Gita is the best known and the most frequently translated of Vedic religious texts. Why it should be so appealing to the Western mind is an interesting question. It has drama, for its setting is a scene of two great armies, banners flying, drawn up opposite one another on the field, poised for battle. It has ambiguity and the fact that Arjuna and his charioteer Krishna are carrying on their dialogue between the two armies suggests the indecision of Arjuna about the basic question: should we enter battle against and kill those who are friend and kinsmen? It has a mystery. As Krishna demonstrates to Arjuna his cosmic form, it has a properly complicated view of the way of the religious life and thread of the path of knowledge, works, discipline, and faith and their interrelationship problem that have bothered adherents of other religions in other times and places. The devotion spoken of is a deliberate mean of religious satisfaction, not a mere outpouring of poetic emotion. Next to the Bhagavad Bhagavata Purana, a long work from South India. The Gita is the text most frequently quoted in the philosophical writing of the Gaudiya Vaishnava school, the school represented by Swami Bhaktivedant as the latest in a long succession of teachers. It can be said that this school of Vaishnavism was founded or revived by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 1486 to 1533 in Bengal, and it is currently the strongest single religious force in the eastern part of the Indian subcontinent. The Gaudiya Vaishnava school, for whom Krishna is himself the supreme god and not merely an incarnation of another deity, sees bhakti as an immediate and powerful religious force consisting of love between man and God. Its discipline consists of devoting all one's action to the deity, and one listens to the story of Krishna from the sacred text. One chants Krishna name, washes, bathes, and dresses the murti of Krishna, feed him, and takes the remain of the food offered to him. Thus absorbing his grace, one does this thing and many more until one has been changed. The devotee has become transformed into one close to Krishna and sees the Lord face to face. Swami Bhaktivedant comment upon the Gita from this point of view, and that is legitimate. More than that, in this translation, the Western reader has the unique opportunity of seeing how a Krishna devotee interprets his own text. It is a Vedic exegetical tradition, justly famous in action. This book is then a welcome addition from many points of view. It can serve as a valuable textbook for the college students. It allows us to listen to a skilled interpreter explicating a text which has profound religious meaning. It gives us insight into original and highly convincing idea of Gaudiya Vaishnava school and providing the Sanskrit in both Devanagari and transliteration. It offers the Sanskrit specialist the opportunity to reinterpret or debate particular Sanskrit meaning. Although I think there will be little disagreement about the quality of Swami's Sanskrit scholarship. And finally, for the non specialist, there is a readable English and a devotional attitude which cannot help but move the sensitive readers. And there are the paintings, which, incredibly as it may seem to those familiar with the contemporary Indian religious art, were done by American devotees. The scholar, the students of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, and the increasing number of Western readers interested in classical Vedic, though thought have been done a service by Swami Bhaktivedant by bringing us a new and living interpretation of a text already known to many. He has increased our understanding manifold. An argument for understanding in these days of estrangement need not be made. Professor Edward C. DeMock Jr., Department of South Asian Language and Civilization, University of Chicago. Preface. Originally, I wrote Bhagavad Gita as it is in the form in which it is presented now. When this book was first published, the original manuscript was unfortunately cut short to less than 400 pages, without illustration and without explanation for most of the original verses of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita and all of my other books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Isha Upanishad, etc. The system is that I give the original verse its English transliteration word for word, Sanskrit English equivalent translation and purport. This makes the book very authentic and scholarly and make the meaning self-evident. I was not very happy. Therefore, when I had to minimize my original manuscript, but later on, when the demand for Bhagavad Gita as it is considerably increased, I was requested by many scholars and devotees to present the books in its original form, and Mr. Mcmillian and Corporation agreed to publish the complete edition. Thus, the present attempt is to offer the original manuscript of these great books of knowledge with the full Parampara explanation in order to establish the Krishna consciousness movement more soundly and progressively. Our Krishna consciousness movement is genuine, historically authorized, natural, and transcendental due to its being based on Bhagavad Gita as it is. It is gradually becoming the most popular movement in the entire world, especially among the younger generation. It is becoming more and more interesting to the older generation also. Older gentlemen are becoming interested so much so that the father and grandfather of my disciple are encouraging us by becoming life member of our great society, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. In Los Angeles, many father and mother used to come to see me to express their feeling of gratitude for my leading the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the entire world. Some of them say that it is greatly fortunate for the Americans that I have started the Krishna consciousness movement in America. But actually, the original founder of this movement is Lord Krishna himself. Since it was started a very long time ago, but it is coming down to human society by disciplic succession. If I have any credit in this connection, it does not belong to me personally, but it is due to my eternal spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivrajacharya 108 Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada. If personally I have any credit in this matter, it is only that I have tried to present Bhagavad Gita as it is without adulteration before my presentation of Bhagavad Gita as it is. Almost all the English edition of Bhagavad Gita were introduced to fulfill someone's personal ambition, but our attempt in presenting Bhagavad Gita as it is to present the mission of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. Our business is to present the will of Krishna, not that of any mundane speculator like the politician, philosopher, scientist, for they have very little knowledge of Krishna, despite all their other knowledge. When Krishna says, Mana mana vava mada bhakto madayaji mama namaskuru, etc. We, unlike the so-called scholar, do not say that Krishna and his inner spirit are different. Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between Krishna name, Krishna form, Krishna quality, and Krishna pastime, etc. This absolute position of Krishna is difficult to understand for any person who is not a devotee of Krishna. In the Parampara disciplic succession system, generally the so-called scholar, politician, philosophers, and swamis without perfect knowledge of Krishna tried to manage to kill Krishna when writing commentary on Bhagavad Gita. Such unauthorized commentary upon Bhagavad Gita is known as Mayavadi Bhashya, and Lord Chaitanya has warned us about these unauthorized men. Lord Chaitanya clearly says that anyone who tries to understand Bhagavad Gita from the Mayavadi point of view will commit a great blunder. The result of such a blunder will be that the misguided student of Bhagavad Gita will certainly be wildered on the path of spiritual guidance and will not be able to go back home, back to Godhead. Our only purpose is to present this Bhagavad Gita as it is in order to guide the conditioned student to the same purpose for which Krishna descended to this planet once in a day of Brahma, or every 8,600,000 years. This purpose is stated in Bhagavad Gita, and we have to accept it as it is. Otherwise, there is no point in trying to understand Bhagavad Gita and its speaker, Lord Krishna. Lord Krishna first spoke Bhagavad Gita to the Sun God some hundred of millions of years ago. We had to accept this fact and thus understand the historical significance of Bhagavad Gita without its interpretation on the authority of Krishna. To interpret Bhagavad Gita without any reference to the will of Krishna is the greatest offense. In order to save oneself from this offense, one has to understand the Lord as the Supreme Personality of Godhead As he was directly understood by Arjuna, Lord Krishna for discipline, such understanding of Bhagavad Gita is really profitable and authorized for the welfare of human society in fulfilling the mission of life. Krishna consciousness movement is essential in human society for it offers the highest perfection of life. How this is so is explained fully in the Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, mundane wranglers have taken advantage of Bhagavad Gita to push forward their demonic propensities and mislead people regarding a right understanding for the simple principle of life. Everyone should know how God or Krishna is great, and everyone should have know the factual position of this living entity. Everyone should know that a living entity is eternally a servant, and unless one serves Krishna, one has to serve illusion in different variety of the three modes of material nature, and thus perpetually one has to wander within the cycle of birth and death. Even the so-called liberated Mayavadi speculator has to undergo this process. This knowledge constitutes a great science, and each and every living being has to hear it for his own interest. People in general, especially in the age of Kali, are enamored by the external energy of Krishna, and they wrongly think that by advancement of material comfort every man will be happy. They have no knowledge that the material of or external nature is very strong, for everyone is strongly bound by the stringent laws of material nature. A living entity is happily the part and parcel of the Lord, and thus his natural function is to render immediately service to the Lord. But the spell of illusion one tried to be happy by serving his personal sense gratification in different form which will never make him happy. Instead of satisfying his own personal material sense, he has to satisfy the sense of the Lord. That is the highest perfection of life. The Lord wants this and He demands it. One has to understand the central point of Bhagavad Gita. Our Krishna conscious movement is teaching the whole world this central point, and because we are not polluting the theme of Bhagavad Gita as it is, in anyone seriously interested in deriving benefit by studying the Bhagavad Gita must take help from the Krishna conscious movement for practical understanding Bhagavad Gita under the direct guidance of the Lord. We hope therefore that people will derive the greatest benefit by studying Bhagavad Gita as it is, as we have presented it here. And if even one man become a pure devotee of the Lord, we shall consider our attempt as successful. Bhaktivedant Swami Prabhupada, 12 May 1971, Sydney, Australia.